you remember calling me out? I was about in the SkyTrain station for farting, and you yelled at the top of your lungs.
Everybody screamed, "Johnny farted!"
Absolutely, in a crowded subway. This guy farted!
Yo, just like random people.
Yeah.
Holy
Like the whole SkyTrain station. I don't even think I farted, man.
No, I think I farted.
Yeah.
I farted, and then I like to.
It was like mid-conversation. Johnny's like, yeah, so blah, blah, blah. And you're like, did you just fucking fart? And he's like, no. It was so good.
The last GP record that we wrote was very different from everything else that the band had ever written previously. It was heavier, it was darker. It was essentially a deathcore record. And then when we decided to do CARCOSA, I was like, okay, well, we're just going to do this full tilt. But we were also a lot more methodical about it with CARCOSA. I don't know if you still have the piece of paper, but like we wrote like essentially all of the bands that we liked and who we wanted to sound like on the same page.
Wow.
And we were like, this is what we're going to try and do as a group. This is like
smart.
Collectively what we want to do as a sound. So we kind of all agreed on that, and there was like a big three, I guess it was. So like Humanity's Last Breath, like Chelsea Grin, and then fucking, I don't know,
like
for Acacia Strain most likely. So like that was kind of like the melting pot of what we were all like, we're all going to do this.
Basically, we wanted to have like a clear, concise, this is the style of music we're going for, which is obviously, deathcore being the umbrella, but we kind of narrowed it down to a few bands that we all collectively agreed on. In addition to the music, my big thing was like, what is our like branding, imagery, and all that.
That's what I was going to ask you about, because you're so good with that.
Thank you. But that was like a really big thing that I like really, really wanted to make sure it was like airtight and like rock solid. So I based a lot of that off of Brand of Sacrifice and Spirit Box, because they were really, really killing it at that time. They still are. So I took a lot of inspiration from them, and I owe them a big thank you for being so willing to help us. We even hired the same artist who made Brand of Sacrifice's logo to make our logo. But yeah, so that was my big thing as well. And like I went pretty deep into it. Like we ended up calling ourselves CARCOSA, which made my life like so much easier, because I was like, okay, well, CARCOSA is literally more or less a story about H.P. Lovecraft, so there's like all this lore behind it. We base it off of the show called True Detective, so I was like, okay, sick, like I have this entire like 10 episode series to base like everything off of. So we're like, all right, we'll do like a logo. It's gonna be a spiral, because in the show there's lots of spirals. We're gonna use yellow because in the show the main villain is called the King in Yellow, so yellow's now our color, yellow and black. And also bands just like don't really use yellow, which in my brain I was like, that's even better because less competition. And then I had noticed for myself, like I have everything on my channel is usually like green, and like eventually I just realized like everyone's just like, oh, that's the green guitar guy. And I was like, hey, like that's a really easy way to kind of brand and market yourself, is even just a color. Like it's so easy. So I was like, okay, well that seems to have worked for me, so why don't we just like pick a color and just like really, really like hammer that color. So we went really hard with like yellow. We've kind of changed it up a bit now, but yeah, so I kind of went into a lot of detail on that. I wanted us all to have uniforms, because I was like, all right, well, we really liked kind of like the new metal style of like Slipknot and Korn. So I was like, all right, let's do like Adidas tracksuits. I don't know if that was necessarily my idea, but like we agreed, like we want a uniform, we want an image, we want to always look like this. This is how we will always present ourselves. And this is what we started out with, and like let's make sure we're on track with that. So yeah, and that's still how we do things to this day.
I wish I knew what I was.